Good evening, candidates and citizens. Welcome to the 2021 Virtual Candidates Forum hosted by the City of Glenarden Board of Elections. My name is Richard Arroyo Montgomery, and I am the chair of the Board of Elections. It is my honor and distinct pleasure to present to you our moderator for this evening, Ms. Monica A. Roebuck. Ms. Roebuck is an educator and community leader in Prince George's County. She is the founder and CEO of the Community Solutions Consulting Services. This newly formed LLC provides educational, political, and business consulting to those in the community. Ms. Roebuck has worked for Prince George's County Schools for 20 years as a classroom teacher, mentor, and leader in her school. Ms. Roebuck served as the Social Justice Connection Chairperson for the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Under her leadership, she increased voter engagement and also the overall participation of the chapter in the legislative policy. Ms. Roebuck has led several successful letter writing campaigns, leading to the passage of legislation affecting women and people of color. In 2019, she was appointed to the Prince George's County Board of Elections. In her role, she is responsible for overseeing county elections. She was also appointed to the Democratic Committee for Voter Engagement and Voter Protection, which works to educate the community about voting. Ms. Roebuck attends the First Baptist Church of Glenarden and currently resides in the city of Bowie. Without further ado, I present and turn over this event to Ms. Monica A. Roebuck. Thank you and good luck, candidates.
Good evening, and thank you for that warm introduction. I'm Monica Roebuck, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. I want to welcome all the residents from Glenarden. I want to say hello to all of the candidates and everyone that is viewing on Facebook. Tonight is a very important evening. Our municipal elections are very important as we elect our new Councilmanic district members and also our new mayor. Important decisions are made at the local level. I want to thank all of the people who are viewing tonight. And I want to also thank all of the candidates who are running, because it takes a lot of courage to run for office. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Just a few brief announcements before we begin with our forum. The election will be held on May the 3rd at the James R. Cousins Municipal Center. That's where the voting will be held. It will be from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. All ballots have been mailed, so residents should have them. And just another brief housekeeping note, we are streaming live on Facebook. So please feel free to share this with your friends and family. And so before we begin with the rules, I do want to mention that all candidates were invited to the forum, and the candidates that you see here are the ones who accepted the invitation. So without further ado, I want to go over the rules for this evening. Candidates, I will be the moderator. Please follow my directions. I will be asking the questions in order, but I will be going in different order as we go throughout the evening. This is not a debate. This is a forum, so it is strictly questions and answers. No live questions from the audience. All of the questions were submitted prior to tonight. All candidates, please respect your time limit. You will be given 1 minute for an introduction, 1 minute for a response, 1 minute for your introduction, 1 minute for a response to a question, and 1 minute for your closing. You will be given a warning when your time is getting ready to expire. You will see something on the screen that will let you know that you have 10 seconds. Only one candidate should be allowed to speak at a time. Please make sure that you are muted until I let you know that that question is for you. Please make sure that you respect one another and let's not interrupt each other. And I'm sure we won't have to worry about that for tonight. So I am going to just go through the Councilmanic district candidates, and then we're going to start with the introductions. So we have Jennifer Cullen running for Councilmanic District 2, Deborah Eason running for Councilmanic District 2. Eric Fareed, running for Councilmanic District 3. Renee Bullock, running for at-large. Derek Curtis, running for at-large. Kathleen Guillaume, running for at-large. And Jesse Huff, running for at-large. And so at this
It's Huff Jr.
I'm sorry?
My name Jesse Huff Jr.
Jesse Huff Jr. Okay, thank you. All right, so at this time, we are going to have the introductions. I will let you know when it is your time to give your introduction. When I call your name, then you can unmute yourself and give your 1-minute introduction. Okay, my timekeeper, if you can just show them what it will look like when their time is almost expired. Okay, so Miss.
You're 10 seconds down. I will say 10 seconds and I will hold up 10 seconds on the screen.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to start with Jennifer Cullen. You have 1 minute. Please introduce yourself to the audience. Unmute. Okay. Is Jennifer?
We'll start the time over.
Okay. Let's see. Let me see if I see her here.
Okay.
Okay. There you are.
Okay, I'm good. Okay.
Yeah, here you.
Hello, everyone. I am Jennifer Cullen. I am a native Glenardener. I have had the privilege of watching Glenarden change from a town and grow into a city. I am a proud mom of 2 adult children that has attended HBCU College, Morgan State University. I have worked for University of Maryland for 32 years as a program manager in College Park. I had the opportunity to work with students, faculty, academic directors, revising policies, programming, and production courses for schedules. I am also a healthcare public relations advisor for 8 years, skillfully learned to provide insight solutions tailored for specific situations. I have a master's in healthcare administration from College Park, a bachelor's degree in social sciences, and an associate's degree in business administration. And my experience is, I'm up? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, Deborah Easton, please introduce yourself to the audience. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their evening to attend the forum. And I also want to thank the election board for putting this forum together. My name is Deborah Eason. I grew up in the town/city of Glenarden, where I personally experienced community spirit, community pride, and community leaders who were great role models and cared enough about their city and community to voluntarily serve to make their community a better place to live for everyone. I voluntarily served on my Glenarden Forest HOA for 30 years. And actually I've served on the city council for 10 years. I didn't think it was that long a time until I start, counting the years, but it's been that long a time. So I'm hoping that come May the 3rd that you'll vote for me again to serve you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Erica Fareed. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this forum, and thank you to my fellow running mates. I will consider all of you running mates because we're here to do great work for the city of Glenarden. And thank you to the Board of Elections for providing this forum for us to speak to the citizens. I am not a native Glenarden citizen, but I moved here 4 years ago with my husband and our daughter, and we have made Glenarden our home. Since arriving in Glenarden, I have been involved in various capacities, serving on the website committee, also participating in the Glenarden Civic Association, and just being a voice for those in my community. I currently lead the Mothers of Woodmore Town Center, organization. And I am looking forward to serving the community in the Councilmanic role. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next at-large candidate Renee Bullock.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Renee Bullock, and I'm running for councilman at large. I am a native Glenarden for over 60 years. I have 2 adult children, 3 grandchildren, and I'm a retired employee from Metro as a budget and financial analyst. I have I'm the director of our summer children's camp at my church, Shiloh Baptist Church of Landover, Maryland, which I've been a member of Shiloh for over 53 years. And I care, like I said, I've been in this community of Glenarden for over 60 years. I've seen it grow, and I just want to see a change. I want it to be even better. Things I just in the community.
Thank you, Ms. Bullock. Your time has expired. Thank you. All right, the next candidate is our at-large. It's Derek Curtis.
Hello, my name is Derek Curtis, and I'm a Christian husband, father, with 20 years experience in accounting, financial management, and economic development. Well, I served in the Peace Corps in Togo, West Africa, doing economic development there. And I am a CPA. I've known that I've wanted to be a CPA since I've been in 3rd grade. So it's a passion of mine doing accounting work. I love what I do. And I am tasked with integrating into businesses and making those businesses better. 4 things that I want to work on in the city and transition those services from making businesses better to making the city better is community economic development, having a small business focus, a transparent and accountable government, and a focus on health and wellness. So I look forward to expanding on those areas during this town hall.
Thank you. Next at-large candidate is Kathleen Guillaume. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, you can call me Kat, and good evening, everyone. I am a mother, wife, servant, daughter, you name it, I'm all of it. I have a son who graduated college and is now in the Air Force, and I have a young 15-year-old now who is the apple of my eye. I have been in the city of Glenarden that I love and adore with my family for a little over 6 years. Career-wise, I am also Afro-Caribbean Latina. I speak 4 languages, which is very big and important for me because I believe in communicating with everyone because relationships lead to results. Career-wise, I am a 25+ year philanthropic engagement leader. I have raised over $60 million+ in redevelopment for cities throughout the United States. I also have a strong community development background where I was featured as the woman on the move for women in community development. And I have also served as vice president for Glenarden Housing Authority. So thank you so much, and I yearn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Jesse Huff Jr., at-large candidate.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jesse Huff Jr. I'm a 3rd generation Glenardian. I'm 28 years old. I currently am a barber in Glenarden. I have been a barber for over 7 years. I graduated from Child Service Flowers High School, and I was a part of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Glenarden, and I was a youth director at my church.
Okay. All right, we're going to jump right into the questions. I'm going to be switching up the order. I'm going to start with Jesse Huff Jr. first and go in the opposite direction this time around. So you're going to be first. All right, so this question is for all of the candidates. Summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office. I'll repeat it again. Summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office.
Time.
On me. It's
Yeah.
on me?
Yes.
Yes. Well, my experience to be councilman, I would say When I was in high school, I was a member of Flowers SGA Student Government, where we planned activities for the school. We planned like community events. At my church, I was a youth director for the usher board. We was in charge. I was in charge of youth Sundays, like overseeing youth Sundays, making sure all the people, was where they were supposed to be. And as far as for the community, oh, I just lost what I had to say. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
All right, thank you. All right, Kathleen Guillaume, same question. Summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office. It's okay, breathe, woosah.
So I consider myself a people person. So I started saying this in my introduction is you have to have an ability to communicate with everyone. You have to also have a heart for service. So my entire career has been in the nonprofit industry in a leadership capacity. To be part of government, you also have to be, I believe, skilled in community development. And so in addition to what I stated about leading Glenarden Housing Authority industry development efforts that I'm working on, I have also been appointed and nominated to serve on the Prince George's County Affordable Housing Commission, where I provided recommendations to the legislative branch of Maryland. So I have that skill set as well. Also from philanthropic engagement background, knowing that I will not leave any stone unturned when it comes to budgets, when it comes to money, when it comes to what the municipality can utilize to basically be better when it comes to gaining funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Derek Curtis, same question. Summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office. This is for Derek Curtis.
Yeah. Okay. As I stated before, I'm a certified public accountant. I've been doing this for certified public accountant for a little over 15 years, integrating into businesses, understanding their structure, the organization structure, policy and development. I've been tasked with making things better, streamlining processes, fixing finances. I love what I do. I've also participated in, like I said, the Peace Corps, where I was charged to go to Togo and Africa and build on a grassroots level economically, building small businesses, helping them grow, doing feasibility studies, and just been a part of just the youth development in my city, being a part of Young Life. I will say that Jesse Huff, I've spoke with him. He has a heart to serve. So I think that that's quality enough in becoming a servant leader for the city of Glenarden. So.
Okay, little plug in for Jesse. All right, next is Renee Bullock. Same question. Summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office.
I'm sorry about that. I forgot to unmute myself. Finance is my whole life. I've been financial and a budget analyst for Metro. I've also worked for the town of Glenarden under HUD when we had developed to buy the homes and stuff to build, which is now Hawkins Manor. I also worked for the town doing part-time work with the treasurer and doing the audit, working to get things together for audit purposes. I am a people's person. I love this town. Like I said, finance has been my life.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bullock. Okay, next, Erica Fareed, summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office.
I am a professional in the business transformation, business reorganization, process improvement, streamlining, simplification, and I am also a certified public accountant. In my career, which spans over the last 20 plus years, I have worked for very large organizations. I currently work for Pfizer. I specialize in simplifying and bringing order out of chaos. So I'm very good with the structure of organizations and really bringing forth the innovation and the technology that's needed to advance us into the 21st century. Beyond all of that, I'm a servant. I'm one of those people who will roll up my sleeves and get the job done, regardless of what the title is. And I believe that that level of dedication and support and passion is needed to bring our city forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fareed. Deborah Eason, summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I believe that my experiences and qualifications begin with my family roots. I've been a citizen of Glenarden since November 1961, when my parents moved to the town of Glenarden. I grew up in an 8-member family with my parents and 5 siblings, 3 sisters and 2 brothers. My mom was very active in the community, and as children included us in community activities such as the Glenarden Majorettes, where I would wear a gold sequence uniform and velvet blue shorts marching in parades throughout the city. After my mom died, I actually moved to the Glenarden Forest community to be near my father and siblings. And I have voluntarily served on the Glenarden Forest Homeowners Association for 30 years, and also served on the City Glenarden Council for 10 years. I have incorporated all of my educational and work experiences as a program manager, business analyst, professional instructor, and information technology professional to help me make decisions for the City of Glenarden. And I can continue using my experience to help improve the city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I love it. Everyone's staying within their time limit. Okay, last person for this question is Jennifer Cullen. Summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office.
Here we go. No, we're still on mute.
Okay, let me see. I can unmute you. Okay, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I would like to elaborate on my experiences too. I've been living in Glenarden over 50 years. My family is one of the original pioneer families to settle in Glenarden. My grandparents, Frank and Alma Kenner, and my parents, John Sr. and Edith Hampton, who was founders and pastor of Christ Mission Church of Glenarden, where they were involved in political, social, and spiritual activities that helped establish, shape our community. I have a passion to serve. I have experience as a healthcare public relations advisor for the past 8 years. I skillfully listen to clients to provide insight and solutions tailored for their specific situations. Also, I am faculty. I deal with faculty and revising policies and programming for productions of course schedules.
Thank you, Ms. Cullen. You got it all in 1 minute. Thank you very much. All right.
Learn.
That was round 1. We are going to go on to round 2. I'm going to do this one alphabetical order. All right. So I will be starting with Ms. Bullock, and I'm going to go to the first question, and I'm just choosing these questions randomly. All right. What does your interest in serving, where does your interest in serving in office stem from? And how will that drive your actions as an elected official? It's basically asking, where does your passion, like, why are you getting into public office? So I'm starting with Ms. Bullock. What is your interest in serving in office, and how will that drive your actions?
So
that first question is for Ms. Bullock.
My interest for running for office was that I've been in this town for so many years, and I had not seen anything really being done to develop our city of Glenarden. And I just want to be a part of trying to incorporate and make it even better to, even bring all of the wards and stuff together, but just do more things so that we can just be on on one accord. But right now, I have not seen too much being done in our city of Glenarden. And as much as I've tried to, even with the past council, giving my opinions, but nothing has ever been done. And I said, enough is enough. It's time. Maybe I could go ahead and try and do something for the city.
Okay, thank you. All right, next is Miss Cullen. Going in alphabetical order now. Cullen, same question. Where does your interest lie in running for office, and how will that drive your actions if you were elected? Okay, let me see if I need to unmute her. Let's find where she is. Okay. All right, I got you. All right. You can go ahead and unmute.
You're still muted.
Okay. She was unmuted for a minute. Okay, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. I always had a passion to serve because as a young child, I always was very active in the community. And now that I'm getting older and I have moved back in my family homestead, and I have noticed that it was a strong disconnection between the city and the constituents. And then I'm going through the process of high taxes and crime and the declining of the infrastructures. And I have been witnessing a lot of negativity at the town hall meetings. So I figure I'd throw my hat in the race and maybe I can bring some positive change to the town. So here I am.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Curtis, what is your interest in serving in office stem from, and how will that drive your actions if elected?
Well, I've always been a servant leader, and witnessing just the city council meetings, it doesn't take long to see that we're a city in turmoil, with no accountability for our city officials, a lot of arguing and divisiveness, a government that requires our residents to work for them instead of the government working for us. And I can either sit on the sidelines and complain about it, or I can get up and do something about it. We need people in office that get up every day with the mentality of how can I best serve the city today? And unfortunately, some of our council members do not do that. It only takes what you can go out to if you're in Ward 1, you can go out of your house and look no further than the Martin Luther King Memorial. There's no way a servant leader in Ward 1 gets up and sees the Martin Luther King Memorial like that and it stays like that. We need a lot of change in the city, we need accountability in the city, and that's what I plan to do.
All right, thank you. Ms. Eason, where does your interest in serving for elected office stem from, and how will that drive your actions to when you serve if elected?
Okay, thank you. Once again, my interest starts with my family roots. My mom was a city council member, and out of the 6 children, I was the one who sat with her at town meetings, or took pictures of her in front of a flag, or helped her with city events, or made small Christmas items for her to sell at PTA events to raise funds for students at Glenarden Woods Elementary School, or helped her make paper mache streamers for Mardi Gras balls, or helped her make yarn dolls. She loved serving other people, and I watched her. My mom was my role model. My father was also my role model, who always taught us to always do the best that we can. So they both helped me along the way, and I used those things in my professional and my role as a city council member. A long time ago, I met with one of my managers, and he knew I was serving on my homeowners HOA. He asked me, why did I serve? And I told him because I care about where I live, and I still care. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Fareed, what is your interest in serving in office stem from, and how will that drive your actions in elected office? You have 1 minute.
Thank you.
Ms. Fareed.
So when we moved to the city of Glenarden, it was an investment for our family financially, but also an investment in the future of our family. We have a young child. She is 3 years old. And as far as she knows, she's from Glenarden. She will grow up here. And I want her environment to be a positive one. I want her to grow up in a community. So that was the primary driver for why I wanted to run for city council. I want to help improve the city and make it a place, a community for everyone. Local government is really a grassroots movement, which means we all have to step in and do what we need to do. And this is the way that I plan to step in. I want to be a voice for the voiceless. I want to advocate for those who don't know how to advocate for themselves. I want to hear what you want to happen in this city and make it happen for you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see who's next. All right, Ms. Guillaume, where does your interest in serving for office stem from, and how will that drive your actions in elected office?
Thank you. I am my great-grandmother's namesake. And so I come from a family deeply rooted in social activism and civic engagement. So even with that being the case, I am not, and I want to repeat and stress that, I am not a politician, but I can't sit back and see chaos and discord. My kids, my God, and my ancestors, I feel, are watching. So I had to look at myself and say, Kat, you are either going to be the person who complains about the problem or become part of the solution. So for me, where I saw a lot of things happening in the city council, I couldn't sit back. So for me, as an elected official, should I have the honor, I would work across the aisle and ensure that all parts of the city are accounted for, regardless of the income, regardless of the wards, all are accounted for. And I will also make sure that all citizens, especially the non-English speaking citizens, feel valued and heard, not just when it comes to their tax dollars.
Okay, that is your time. Thank you. Okay, and lastly, Jesse Huff Jr., where does your interest in serving in elected office stem from, and how will that drive you if elected to office?
My interest in serving in the office came from seeing the lack of our current councilmen, the lack of their community involvement. Because I remember when I was younger, we knew our councilmen, we knew our mayors. Like now we just see our councilmen only on Glenarden Day or National Night Out. They don't walk around in the community. They're not as active as they should be. And I'm tired of having people representing me that's not in the community.
Okay, thank you very much. So that completes round one. We are now going to go to round two. All right. So here's the question, and I'm going to start in a different order this time around. All right, I think I'm going to start with the at-large candidates, and the question is, what are your plans or ideas for managing litter within the city? 311 does not always work as it should. All right, I'm going to start with Ms. Bullock. What are your plans for managing litter within the city?
My thoughts on managing litter in the city would be utilizing more trash receptacles along the streets, the sidewalks, all of the different wards. Maybe have special trash cans placed at each individual homes, specializing right now we do have what's recyclable and what's for trash. But to even be more, because some people still don't have all the trash cans that they should have to put the trash in, but basically using more receptacles throughout the whole communities where people could just see trash, and see a trash can, they can put the trash in there. Right now, we don't have that.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to go to Erica Fareed next. What is your plan for managing litter in the city?
So managing litter in the city needs to be a function of our public works and making sure that they're doing that on a routine basis. So the first thing would be to make sure that there's a schedule in place for how often public works is going out and checking and making sure those things are picked up. I would also have, more community days. We do a good job with it now, but have more community days where we have volunteers who come and do dedicated cleanup of the city. As it relates to the litter, we also need to kind of consider where the litter is coming from. So if we need to put trash receptacles in places where we find the most litter, then that makes more sense to do rather than, I come from New York City where there's like trash cans on every corner and you don't really want that. That can create a rodent problem, but really putting, trash receptacles where they're necessary would help us with the litter situation.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Guillaume, what is your plan for managing litter in the city?
So similar to what Ms. Fareed just said, I would implore the Public Works Division. So I would have to work with whoever the elected mayor is, who would basically serve as the chief manager of the city, and make sure that they implore the Public Works Division to do their part. I would also, again, similar to what Ms. Fareed said, work on having more community cleanup days and also county cleanup. We are part of a county as well, but I would also add an additional layer, and it would be the community service days per se, where there are a lot of high schoolers and junior high school students. Well, I'm from New York as well. I say junior high school, but middle high schoolers who are also looking for community service hours. So I would also have them take part in cleaning up the neighborhood where they live.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Eason, same question. What is your plan for managing litter in Glenarden?
Okay, thank you. The city, I think Ms. Fareed said it, the city has a public works department paid for by citizens' tax dollars. However, the department is small and cannot cover the entire city every day. In addition to their other public works tasks and duties. I believe the city should look at best practices from neighboring cities and municipalities and develop a comprehensive plan for the city. We can also speak with Prince George's County because they have some cleaning up to do as well. I believe other cities have already figured this out, and we just need to do some research, develop a plan, and implement a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Jesse Jr., what is your plan for managing litter in the city?
If I'm elected, my plan would be we need more public works men. So that will be a part of my plan. And we also need to get those smart bins, because I noticed that we are the only city who don't have those smart trash cans where you can separate from the trash, the aluminum, the glass. We need to invest in some of those too. So that would be some of my goals to do.
Okay, thank you. All right, and Ms. Cullen, what is your plan for managing litter in the city? And let me see, do I need to unmute her? Let's see.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. All right, you got it.
What I would do, I will also hire more public works employees, and I will also put more trash recyclables throughout the community. And also I will implement having a community cleanup day and have / beautification day where they can plant flowers for the environment as well. And I was put out bulletins like in the libraries, in the rec centers about do not litter, and have little bullet points of what it can cause. They can bring in certain rodents and all other stuff that we don't want in our town. And I also would contact the county and see what we can do to better serve our area as well.
All right, thank you very much. And last but not least, Mr. Curtis, what is your plan for managing litter in the city of Glenarden?
A lot of good ideas out here. One, I know part of the question was 311 doesn't always work. So we need to look into that, see why it's not working, and make sure we're holding people accountable to respond to these calls. Two, we need to, I think, more community engagement. If everybody could take the areas around their homes and just, if you see something, pick it up, I think that helps out a lot. I think it takes a lot of, it's going to take some examining of the budget to see if we can afford some more public works, and definitely if there are funds there, employing more public works. But I think it's going to be a collaborative effort across the board, engaging our high school students, more public workers if we can afford it. And personal responsibility. This is our city and we want to keep it clean. So if we see something, we could pick it up and we could put it in the trash. And And I think that'll be a comprehensive approach to getting rid of the litter in our city.
All right, thank you. All right, that ends round 2. We are now going to go into round 3. Here's the question for round 3. What are your short and long-term goals for the city? Okay, I'm going to start with Deborah Eason. What are your short and long-term goals for the city? 1 minute.
Right, thank you. One of my short-term goals, if elected, I would volunteer to facilitate a strategic visioning session with the mayor and other council members. When I was council president, I facilitated a visioning session. I asked each council member to give me 3 of their short-term and long-term goals. We actually met as a group. We discussed all of those goals, prioritized those goals, and worked together to achieve those goals as a public body. Everyone should be able to have input into the strategic goals for the city. The first year we achieved 10 out of the 13 goals that the entire group set forth as what we were going to focus on. And for example, one of those goals was repairing the leaking municipal center roof and remodeling the gold room.
10 seconds.
My long-term goal would be to review the 5-year sustainability plan for the city, which I submitted to the state of Maryland, to see if the city can accomplish any of those goals outlined in the plan.
Thank you, Ms. Eason.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Curtis, what are your short and long-term goals for the city?
Well, a very, very short-term goal is just to add civility and respect and servant leadership back to our city council. Professionalism, having our citizens come to council meetings where they can be heard and they can see us working for them. That's something that's attainable day one. One idea that I had, I know that there are a lot of small businesses in the city. How can we get those advertise those small businesses and get citizens to patron those small businesses in the city so we keep that money in the city? I think we could take a look at that, get a list of all the small businesses that are in the city, publish them in some way. So if I need a CPA, then I can go on the website and find a CPA in the city. Long term, I want to get our restore our credibility back with this county and
5 seconds.
state. Thank you. County and state governments to provide more funding to the area.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Cullen, same question. What are your short and long-term goals for the city?
Well, the first thing I would do, I would try to bring unity amongst the staff and the citizens. Working with the city, I've seen things that have been caused and employees to lose morale. I would have workshops for them to pinpoint, how they can boost their jobs. And another thing, my main concern, enhancing the neighborhood watch and notification programs like public safety, like for the roads. Also to pursue more grants and other funding sources to continue maintenance and upgrading to enhance community facilities and activities, and continue to outreach and provide and promote more community events.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Huff, Mr. Jesse Jr., what are your short and long-term goals for the city of Glenarden?
Okay, some of my short-term goals would be to establish a COVID-19 clinic where we can vaccinate people. Another one of my short-term goals would be to work with Public Works to get all sidewalks and streets fixed in all the wards. A long-term goal of mine will be to remodel the MLK Community Center and also to bring more space to the current town hall, because I noticed that that the employees have outgrown the building, and I do think that they need a bigger building and more space.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. Fareed, what are your short and long-term goals for the city of Glenarden?
Uh-oh. He needs to be unmuted.
Okay, let's see. Ms. Fareed.
Okay, I'm there. Thank you. So my short-term goal is to really focus on the organization, the process and procedures of how the city is running. This will allow us to take care of all the procedural challenges that we seem to have in some of our meetings. So that way we're not really focused on the procedure, but we can focus on the substance of the matter when we get in front of the citizens. That would include reviewing our charter, making sure that all resolutions are properly reflected and identifying opportunities for improvement and clarification. Also reviewing and revising council rules as needed, hiring a parliamentarian, and creating a calendar for the year. Long-term, I would like to increase resident engagement, establish a generations program to help strengthen our community, improve traffic safety, improve infrastructure, create home ownership incentives, revitalize the Martin Luther King Recreation Center, create a small business directory.
Okay, I think that's your time. Thank you. Okay, let's see, Ms. Gilliam. Same question. What are your short and long-term goals for the city of Glenarden?
Sure. So I plan on giving voice and representation to the non-English speaking citizens who have felt ignored by looking at our voting laws and how we communicate traditionally. I also feel that the city needs significant investment in its infrastructure. So I plan on investing in the Martin Luther King site, sidewalks, the police department, etc. Longer term, I feel this will lead to safer streets, a healthier community, and a unified Glenarden. To ensure fiscal health, I will work to unlock more than $3 million for Glenarden local improvements. I will work with the county and state officials to provide grants to the city, and will work to ensure the budget is on time and inclusive of the city's needs. For small businesses, as far as investment, I will make sure that they get their PPP dollars and federal investment grants like the Restoring Communities Left Behind Act and the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act. And lastly, I will partner with neighboring nonprofits for seniors and youth.
Okay, thank you. Okay, last person before we start our closing statements. Ms. Bullock, what are your short and long-term goals for the city of Glenarden?
Well, my short-term goals are that bringing more stability to the city of Glenarden. Also working with a lot of our youth. We need more time spent with working with the younger kids now. Also, my long-term goals will be revitalizing the Martin Luther King community site, which has been long overdue. So if we can work on that, that can be a help towards with our kids.
Okay, thank you very much. So that concludes our last round of the forum. And right now we're going to go into our closing statements. I'm going to start with the same order that we began with the opening statements, starting with Ms. Cullen and then going into the at-large candidates. So Ms. Cullen, why should people vote for you? Give a closing statement, closing argument.
Okay. I have been very nervous today. It's the first time me being on here, so you have to excuse me. I have a passion to serve the community. My main interest is the citizens and their welfare and the children. I want to reach out to them where they have something to do throughout the year with special events, as well as the seniors. I would love to see a seniors center where it address health issues, nutrition, special events. They can have organizations within the Senior Citizens Center, and they also can have, they can meet there every day. That is my passion, is the welfare of the citizens. I'm a hard worker and I'm trustworthy, and I'm just a good candidate.
Thank you, Ms. Cullen. All right, passionate. Okay, Ms. Easton, give us your closing statement and tell us why voters should vote for you.
Okay, thank you. I always ask myself the question, how does my decision benefit the citizens of Glenarden? As your city council member, I will continue adhering to the City of Glenarden Charter and annotated Code of Maryland that govern the city, and continue using my experiences to identify achievable goals and practical solutions to further improve the city. I have had the honor of serving the city of Glenarden, and its citizens have entrusted me to make decisions looking out for their best interests and the best interests of the entire city. I'll always remember my first greatest achievement as a city council member, working with the Maryland Department of Transportation to install a left turn traffic signal from Martin Luther King Highway onto Barlow Road to allow over 200 homeowners to cross a 4-lane highway to safely enter their development. I am again asking for citizens for their vote to serve them once again for Ward 2 council member. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And Ms. Erica Fareed, give us your closing statement, please.
Thank you. I will bring my skills, tenacity, and most importantly, your voice to the city council. I don't just want your vote. I want your partnership and your engagement. I seriously believe that there's nothing that we can't overcome together if we're working collaboratively with a common vision and purpose in mind. We may not agree on how to do that in all cases, but we can disagree agreeably. There's a lot more that I would love to say, but I can't get it all in here. Please visit my website at ericafareed.com. I will be posting the answers to all of the questions that were submitted, so you can get a fuller breadth of what I plan to do as the city council member for Ward 3. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Bullock, give us your closing statement.
I'm just going to make it short and sweet. I've been a resident of Glenarden for a long time, and I just want all of us to come together as one. And I will do all my best to make us all come together as one. And we will get also I want to get the citizens involved, where they can voice their thoughts on whatever it needs to be, and we can see what we can do. So come out and vote on May 3rd.
All right. Okay, Mr. Curtis, give us your closing statement. 1 minute.
As I stated before, I think we need servant leaders in this role. I think that we need people who have considered the cost, who will humble themselves and get to work and serve the people, and not the other way around. I think we need a change because we've been in the same spot for far too long. And I have considered the cost. I know what it's like to humble myself, and I am willing to get to work. Bringing my financial experience, my community economic development. Like I said, every day I will get up and work to see how I can work better for the city, how I can better serve the city. Currently, I'm the assistant director of finance operations for the International Association of Chiefs of Police. How can I get our police officers involved on a national stage to make our streets better? How do we invest in small businesses? How do we finally, and not just talk about it, but finally revitalize the MLK Memorial? All these things I want to work on and restore accountability and transparency to the government.
Thank you. Ms. Gilliam, your closing statement. 1 minute, please.
Sure. If you are looking for a politician or someone who has a huge ego, or someone who is going to disrespect you, I am not the candidate for you. I am, however, if you are looking for someone who is a change agent, someone who will value you, who will utilize their skill sets to make sure that they move the city forward so the city's residents can feel like they matter, I am the person for you. I vow, just like I have been campaigning, and I can't speak, I probably can't speak for almost everyone on this call, campaigning alone has felt like spiritual warfare. So this is very sacrificial. It gets really ugly, but I serve a greater purpose, and I serve and I give of myself. So for me, if you want someone who will see you, who will value you, who will hear you and represent you in a way where the county and the cities and other places will actually look at Glenarden like they used to and say, that's the city that I want to be like, then I'm the person for you.
Okay, last but not least, Mr. Jesse Jr., give us your closing statements, please.
If I'm elected councilman at large, my plan is to unify the community, to remove this dark cloud that we got over us. I plan to work with all 3 wards. I represented them equally. I plan to give myself to the community. I want to be that person that the community can count on. I want to be that person that the community can look up to. I also, my passion is the youth. So I will want to bring more youth activities, more youth programs, job training, junior councilman, junior mayor, more stuff like that. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you so much, candidates. You did an excellent job. I'm so impressed with all the passion and all the responses that you all were giving. I just thank you again for running for office and putting your hat in the ring. It takes a lot of hard work to run for office. The important decisions are made at a local level. And the fact that you're trying to change your community really means a lot. So last couple of announcements. The election is going to be Monday, May the 3rd from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. I want all the residents of Glenarden to get out there and vote. And I want to leave you all with a quote. The late Congressman John Lewis said, "The vote is precious, it's almost sacred." He said it's the most nonviolent tool that we have. So I want to encourage and challenge everybody under the sound of my voice in Glenarden to get out there and vote. And let's have a great election. Thank you. God bless and good evening.
We're going to transition to the mayoral portion now. Good evening, candidates and citizens. We are going to resume with our forum at this time, and we would like to present our mayoral candidates at this time. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining. For those of you who are just logging on, I'm Monica Roebuck, and I'm going to be your host for this evening. I want to thank the residents for joining and watching, and also the candidates who are running for office. Like I mentioned before, it takes a lot of guts and courage to run for office. So I thank you for all that you do. I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping things. We are streaming live on Facebook. And I also want to mention again that the election is May the 3rd, Monday, May the 3rd. The voting will take place from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. We want everybody to get out there and vote. Tell your family and friends about it. I also want to mention that for tonight's forum, invitations were sent out to all of the candidates. The candidates that you see here tonight are the ones who accepted the invitation. Now, let's begin with the ground rules for the forum.
Excuse me, Monica.
Yes.
Come on camera, please. Your camera's off.
Oh, my camera's off. Okay. Got so excited, I started without my camera on. All right, here I am. Okay, so let's begin with our ground rules. I will serve as your moderator for this evening, so please follow my directions as I give out the questions. I will switch up the order as we go through the questions. We're going to do, I believe, 4 rounds. We'll have an opening, 4 rounds, and then a closing. Each will be 1 minute. You will get a warning when your time is almost expired. When it gets within 10 seconds, you will see something on the screen. Ms. Elena Fertrell will show you your time, and then you will be muted after the 1 minute has expired. All candidates should be respectful, do not interrupt each other, and I'm sure we won't have to worry about any of that. But please just, listen for the questions, and I will again be giving you, we will be doing 4 rounds tonight. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and begin with.
Sorry, Monica, sorry to interrupt you. Before we begin, it's actually 2 minutes for the mayoral candidates, not 1 minute.
Okay, are we doing 2 minutes for introductions as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Yes.
So we have only 4 candidates, and you guys have the important role of running the city. Okay, that's an extremely important role that you all have. And so we want to really hear from you. And so you will have 2 minutes for your introduction, your closing, and 1 minute for your response. So I do want to just say who the candidates are who are running. We have Elaine Carter, Kashina Cross. Let me know if I'm mispronouncing it, hopefully not. Chelsea Okoro, and Mr. Don Juan Williams. All right, we're going to start with Miss Elaine Carter. Please introduce yourself, and you will have 2 minutes. Okay, I will unmute you. Okay, you can unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you for this opportunity. Good evening, Glenarden neighbors. My name is Elaine Carter, and I'm running for mayor. I am a widow, a mother of 3, and the grandmother of 4 wonderful, wonderful children. I've lived in the city of Glenarden for over 40 years. I've served our city in many capacities. I served as director of public housing. I served as the clerk in the finance office, the clerk for the council, and most importantly, I served on the city council for a good many years, well over 15 years as a council member, and I served 1 full term and a partial term as our city mayor. During my tenure as mayor, I took us from borrowing $50,000 a year to get us through until we received our allotments from the county to a positive spending when I was mayor. And I'm very proud of that financial outcome. I am a member of the Union Wesley AME Zion Church, where I serve on their budget committee. I am a stewardess in my church, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. All right, we're going to go to Ms. Kashina Cross. Please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Good evening, Glenarden family, and thank you to the, can you hear me?
Can everyone needs to mute themselves because I'm hearing some background noise. Please make sure that you're muted. Okay, thank you. Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
I'm sorry, Alana, can you please restart her time? We had some interruptions there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Glenarden family, and thank you to the Board of Elections and all the candidates with a heart for serving the citizens of Glenarden. I am Kashina Cross, a candidate for mayor, servant leader, wife of 1, mother of 2 little legacies, and I am proud to call Glenarden home. I currently serve Glenarden as an appointed vice chairman of the Ethics Commission. I am also serving amongst various other committees on the new city website committee, and was a proud sponsor and supporter for the Harvest Day Rewind for our children. We are serving, and we are still serving. Serving all mankind for 23 years as a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I possess a master's degree in international relations. As a highly decorated officer, I was honorably retired right here in the city of Glenarden. While I'm from a small town, Aberdeen, Mississippi, family means everything. Community is number 1. I am currently serving this great country with Booz Allen Hamilton for U.S. Cyber Command. I am an experienced Department of Defense advisor, certified in cybersecurity, information technology, logistics, regulatory plan policy, and conflict resolution. Listen, I'm a master instructor, and I am ready to take our youth into the next century and the next generation because we've got work to do, City of Glenarden. I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. I believe that as your Chief Executive Officer, we will bring financial professionalism. We will incur no more debt, and we will have government contracts with accountability and reporting. Listen, we are about to take this mission to a whole nother level. We are on the move. The city on the move. Listen, Kashina Cross is ready to serve you. I will also also look at national and international levels where we can benefit our city. Across 57 nations of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, I yield to you a expertise in coordination and collaboration. We will work hard.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Okay, Ms. Chelsea Okoro, please introduce yourself to everyone. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chelsea Okoro. I am a 22-year-old native of Glenarden, Maryland. I currently attend Bowie State University, where I'm studying business administration with a concentration in management. I am the woman with a mission in the city on the move, and I am vying to be the next mayor of Glenarden, Maryland.
Thank you, Ms. Okoro. Last but not least, Mr. Don Juan Williams, you have 2 minutes. Please introduce yourself. Okay, let me unmute. Yes, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening, citizens. First, I'd like to give honor to God, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I am humbly asking you to support me again for the position of mayor of the city of Glenarden. Now, I've been here, done that, and bought that t-shirt before. However, I just want one more time to help all the young people here who are graciously trying to run for office. Now, this is the first time in my lifetime being in the city of Glenarden since I've been here since 1966. I grew up here almost all my life. So this is my home. And I could have moved out and got a big home, but I chose to stay here and deal with my city, this city. Whitmore Town Center, the lovely place and where we go shopping and homes. It was all because of people like myself, Elaine Carter, and others had the vision to make this happen. So we are the legacy. We are the future. Now, again, we're gonna go into what I've done before, but I did serve 3 terms and I'm asking for just one more. That's all I want. And all I want to do is get back to dealing with our elected officials, having respect on a national, local, and state level. Glenarden has lost that. We have become the laughing stock because of the infighting in this city.
10 seconds.
Leadership to get us past. Thank you very much.
All right, we are going to go into round 1. Thank you for those wonderful introductions. And we're going to go into round 1. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way back up to the first person in the last round. I'm going to start with Mr. Don Juan Williams. Here's your question. Actually, let me go back. Summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office. Summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office.
Well, I have 3 terms as a city council, 4 terms as a city council member, and 3 terms as a mayor. And when I left office, it wasn't because I was voted out of office, I was term limited. I've been a professional for a number of years, a military officer, 28 years, retired U.S. Army officer. Management, logistics is my specialty. I'm a subject matter expert in logistics. I'm a businessman. Excuse me. I'm a basketball referee. I'm in the community working with the kids. I'm a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated with mentoring programs. I'm the president of one of my chapters and 2 chapters, and I started 1 chapter. So that shows I take initiative to lead. Leadership is not an issue with me, but being a follower is good too. In order to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. And I follow the footsteps of my predecessors. And I learned through the school of hard knocks. And that's why I am the man I am today, is because I listened, I learned, and I executed. So I'm gonna not take all my 2 minutes of time, but in short, I'm an individual that is willing to mentor, because I've been mentored. I started off on the city council when I was 26 years old, and I love these young people running now. And I'm willing to help them because when I ran, I didn't get that help. I was beat down. You won't get a beat down from me. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, Ms. Okoro, summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office.
Thank you for that question. I'm a product of Glenarden. I was born and raised here. I played soccer for Glenarden. I played basketball for Glenarden. I've been in pageants where Glenarden has been across my chest as my sash. Ultimately, I love Glenarden. I love its residents. I've served in many capacities. I've served on local, state, and national levels. I've worked with the National Urban League and Progressive Maryland. I've worked on enhancing and helping with bills being passed, such as the recently passed Maryland HBCU bill. And ultimately, my love for the community and my willingness to serve qualifies me to be mayor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Okoro. Ms. Cross, summarize your experience and your qualifications to run for elected office.
Thank you. So I spent 10 years as a cyber operations officer, as well as planning and compiling survey data for land and expansion for over 20 years. I've done gap analysis and risk management. What we have is a business process engineering concern. As a business process manager and a certified program manager, as well as ITEL professional, it is my duty to make sure that we align the business processes of the city, to make sure that everyone that is associated with the administration is clear of their role and works within that role. It is critical that we accolade and that we have accomplished goals and priorities set. So when financial opportunities are available, that we do what we have to do for our citizens. I have an excellent oral communication, and when I say that, I'm an expert in command and staff officer training, which means I've had a little experience in serving people. I've been fortunate to serve over 1,500 troops in the United States Air Force, and I am ready to take this city to the next level. Grabbing the reins of what's been left behind is no foreign territory for me. I will tell you that international relations and domestic affairs for 19 years has taught me that partnership and deliberate association and collaboration wins the day. We cannot do this alone. Citizens of Glenarden, we will depend on you. I will establish a community engagement. I will also establish auxiliaries across the vast demographics that have entered this city to make sure your voice is heard. I have contracts, accounting, and reporting in my history, so I will make sure that when we buy what we buy, we get what we bought. I will also bring forward those small businesses. Everyone has an opportunity to serve, and this is a heart of excellence, and I hope you hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens, family, we are ready to move forward.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Okay, Ms. Carter, tell us about your experience, summarize your experience and qualifications for elected office.
Well, again, my experience has been as I've worked in the city in all capacities, in a great many capacities. I've worked with our young, I've worked with our older citizens, and I've grown to be an older citizen. So the elderly is very important to me. And I went to Annapolis back in 19 for our 50th anniversary. And I, along with one of our now deceased mayors, Marvin Wilson, worked on doing our 50th anniversary book. So I learned the history, and I know the history of our city. I've worked as the mayor. I've studied our charter. I didn't just look at it when I needed information. I studied our charter. I learned under the tutelage of our great mayors, those who have gone on, who created this wonderful city that we live in. I look forward to leading us into the next millennium and creating a city that we all can be proud of. I know how to deal with county officials, with state officials, with federal officials. I've dealt with all of them. I've worked with the Maryland Municipal League. I've worked with the Organization of Black Mayors, and I look forward to continuing to make Glenarden the municipality that it was when I came here and raised my children in. I'd like to know that my children will raise a generation of very proud Glenardians. I think it's important.
Time.
Okay, that was your time, Mrs. Carter. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go into round 2. And so here's our next question. How do you plan to improve areas of our city that have in recent years lacked development and funding? I'm going to start this time with Ms. Okoro. And the question again is, how do you plan to improve areas of our city that have lacked in recent years in development and funding? Ms. Okoro, 2 minutes.
Thank you for that question. So first, I'd like to make these areas a priority. It's important for us to repair and maintain what we already have as a community. To improve funding, we will have to do as a community. I would work closely with the financial department to figure out where we can allot different resources and funding to develop these areas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Carter. The question is, what will you do to improve in areas that in recent years lack development and funding? And you can unmute yourself.
In answer to that question, we have allowed our parks and some of the areas that the city owns, like our public housing, to go unchecked. I think it's important that we make sure that our code enforcement, our public works, and our police department are aware of these areas. I think we need to consider community development in some of these areas. We own public housing, and it has not been addressed in the way that it should be. Our parks have gone down. The park on Hayes Street, the park on 7th Street. We've not done anything with them. As one of the councilmen who's running for council mentioned, our MLK. While certainly we put up some new toys, equipment for the children, that site needs cameras. It needs to be patrolled by our police department. There are a lot of areas that need our attention, and I will see to it that they get the proper attention.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Cross, same question. How do you plan to improve areas of the city that in recent years have lacked development and funding?
Thank you. So children are a big part of my life. Obviously, I have 2 little legacies of my own. As I drove around and just talked to citizens, the children not having playgrounds is a disaster. That is something that we can no longer rob them of. That is really what they have to look forward to outside of just homework and more homework. We have to make way for the children to have an experience like we had. I heard of go-kart racing down the Glenarden Parkway, where you bought things and made it yourself. I'm about getting back to the fun side of life. We are a community that plays together, so we got to stay together. We have optimum land planning that we haven't taken advantage of. Places that need economic development. We need to leverage those industries that are looking. Big data centers. That COVID-19 taught us that we didn't have to be in a workplace to succeed. These are funds and revenues that we can bring to our city if we can be reasonable enough to coordinate. Second, residential sections across the city demand safer streets. Mentally, physically, and every ward is impacted by the dense topography around many public spaces, recreational facilities not being upkept. If we need to have more public works, we need to invest in that. Our security is number one. We are number three, thanks to the FBI rating for the state of Maryland. We have economic development, health choices, and family issues that we have to account for. When we look at our seniors, we need a senior care program. So seniors that want to get vaccinated can just make a phone call. I'm about building city and building relationships. I care for you, and I pray that you will help me care for all of the citizens of Glenarden and preserving the environment that we shall endure for future generations. We shall not leave them a legacy of debt either. We shall work to professionalize the city.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Okay, Mr. Williams, how do you plan to improve in areas that in recent years have lacked development and funding?
Well, one of the things I plan on doing is taking economic development and put it in between Ward 1 and Ward 2, where it has been lacking. We look at Martin Luther King Highway by where the Horse and Dickies, and thanks to my help and some 3 other of my colleagues, we was able to help that economic development and bring in Horse and Dickies against some council members that didn't want it or make it hard for them to get there. But expanding that and making some more shops on land that's Glenarden's property there would be a big boom. Next, I would look at Martin Luther King. Either turn it back into a real park or put a building there that we can have computer trainings. Like when I was mayor, we had a recreation department then, and bring back the recreation department, not just park and planning. That's what I want to do. Along with Department of Family Services. We had counseling, we had on-demand mental health counseling, which we definitely need now here, and parental counseling. So, and put a building there so we can house all that along with the park. Public Works we have. However, do they need some upgrading? Yes. Do we need a director? Yes. I also would like to say that I keep hearing debt. The city is not in debt. The city had, at last June, had $8 million in savings. I'm gonna say that again, $8 million in savings. Out of that $8 million, about 5.6 to 5.9 was unrestricted money. Our budget is only 4.2. Most management firms will say that you only need a 25% rainy day fund. We have money to spend. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. All right, we're gonna go into round 3. All right, I'm going to start with Ms. Cross, and here's your question. What challenges does the city face in the next few years, and how would you address those issues? What challenges does the city face?
Right now, the children have just come out of COVID-19 and are trying to figure their lives out and getting integrated back into the education. We have an educational reform that we need to get progressively back into the classroom so that parents can prosperously return to work-life balance. We have a strategy that should be partnering with the county, who has put up a $107.5 million building, which is going to be estimated opening in 2021. It accounts for not only psychiatric treatment, but mental health, so that folks that need to seek that extra support can actually receive that. As I look at our District 24 and our District 5 leaders, one of the things that's near and dear to their heart is health and social services. Reforms in the Relief Act that have come down from the national level have given us an unprecedented amount of tax deductions and benefits that we need to leverage for our citizens. There is an ever-present resource, and institutions of learning as well need to be taken care of. As I look at what we have as far as going forward with the city of Glenarden, the proficiency in technology, trade, and Job Corps, innovative cultures is something we need to look at. I pledge to you that we need to grow career planning and job seeking enhancement opportunities. Vehicles for Change is one such opportunity that is providing former inmates employment. We need to look also into protection for our citizens and our senior citizens, improving safety by partnering with the Prince George's police departments to increase and continue to manage all the areas that would need more investment, if you will, in safety, because a safe city is a city that people will actually love and enjoy. There is a quality of life issue as we look at the governance across the health environment, and we need to make sure that we are standing behind our citizens with providing avenues for success.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Okay, Mr. Williams, what challenges does the city face in the next few years, and how would you address these issues? Okay, unmute yourself. You're muted.
First of all, thank you for the question. First of all, the enemy is among us. We're a mostly African-American community, but now with a lot of Latinos. And we fight among ourselves so much that people don't even want to do business with us. That's our main struggle. We as a city, as an elected body, as a community, have to come together. When we do that, then we can go seek annexation to bring in Largo into Glenarden, which we try to do. But our elected officials don't even want to touch us now because we have too much backbiting. We have some concerns as it comes down to our employees. We need to give some training upgrades, give them some standards. When I went to warrant officer school, in our barracks, it read, if you're not meeting the standards, then you're trying to change the standards. And that's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. We need to apply that to our cities, our workers. Train them to standards. And if they can't meet them, then we need to go. But I think that's the issue, professionalism, standards across the board. That takes leadership. Next, some of our concerns we need to deal with is the way we communicate with our police and deal with our police. We have some issues with some of our younger folks. So I like to see some more engagement, community engagement along our policing. Police is not the enemy. They're here to serve and protect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Okay, Ms. Okoro, what challenges do you think the city faces in the next few years, and how will you address that?
In the next few years, the city faces the aftermath of COVID, a spur in violence, and also a crisis in mental health. To speak about COVID, of course, we have seen within the past few months, within the past year, how COVID has affected us, whether that's healthcare-wise or economically, or if that has to do with your employment, it's affected even our education. One of the aspects that is very important to me is the education aspect of it. You have seen how children have went from in-person learning to virtual learning and how that has caused a decline in grades. I think it's important for a community for us to get involved in that, whether that's through establishing tutoring programs within the community or establishing mentoring programs. And with this, we can guide our youth into higher and new heights. In terms of a spur in violence, I think it's very important for our police officers to start interacting with residents, not only when there are situations and when there are bad things happening, but also on good days, because this will start establishing and building genuine relationships between the police. Also getting our youth involved. So whether that's through mentoring programs, community events, things of that nature, I definitely want us to start focusing more on engaging the youth. They're important. They're also involved in these conversations. They're involved in being at the table. And lastly, involving the mental health crisis, as we have all seen what is going on in America. There's so much going on in America, and it's so much to intake as a community, whether that's individually or collectively, because it does affect us as a community. And it's important that we start to figure out ways to help each other as community. I personally have dealt with mental health as within dealing with other people and dealing with close friends of mine as well. And I think it's important for us to start putting and implementing strategies in place. When police comes to your house, and if there's someone that's suffering and that's going through a mental health episode, they're told to leave the house. And it's important for.
Okay, that's your time. Thank you. All right, Ms. Carter, tell us what you think the most pressing issues facing the city in the next few years and how you will address that.
Our first problem the way I see it, is our youth. We need to create youth and young adult programs to give our young people a positive attitude in which to develop themselves. I'd like to create a program, a tax reduction program for our senior citizens. I'd like to improve our public works department. I agree that we certainly need a director of public works. It's hard to get public works to know where they're to go, when they're to go, when you don't have a leader, when their leader is our city manager. We need a leader for our public works department. And we need to communicate with our citizens better. Our citizens, very often you say something to them, you bring something to their attention, and it's a month down the road before the general population of our citizens know about it. All of our citizens don't have cable. All of our citizens aren't on Facebook. We need to go back to our newspaper and letting citizens know what's going on in the community. And then we have a water problem in the city of Glenarden. And I would like to bring together WSSC, an engineer, a civil engineer, and the stormwater management department of our county and our city government. We need to sit down, find out what we can do to address this issue of water in our city. Thank you.
Ms. Carter. Okay, at this time, we're going to have a change in the time limit for the questions. So we're going to have 2 more questions, but they're going to be 1 minute each. These are specific for the mayor. So I'm going to start with, let's see, I am going to start with Ms. Okoro, trying to balance it out with giving everyone, I don't want to give everyone, make everyone first or have the same person last. So here's the first question. What would you do, Ms. Okoro, to more efficiently and effectively balance the city budget? 1 minute, just 1 minute.
Okay. In short, to effectively and efficiently balance the city's budget, what I would do is learn from previous years. And what I would do is sit down with the financial department and look at the previous budgets and see where we have wasted money and see where money has been well spent. And in areas in which we have wasted money, I'll then work with them to see where those resources and where those funds can be allocated so they are properly spent within the city.
Okay, very good. Very efficient in your time. Okay, Ms. Carter, what would you do to efficiently and effectively balance the city budget? 1 minute.
I would meet with our current auditors, our treasurer, our city manager, our city council to evaluate our spending practices, our income, and determine what steps are necessary in preparation of our new and balanced budget.
All right, very well spoken. Okay, Mr. Williams, what will you do to more efficiently and effectively balance the city budget? 1 minute. Okay. I'll unmute you. Okay, there you go.
I can say this, for the last 4 years that I've been back on the council, the budget has been effectively and efficiently balanced. Matter of fact, we have come under budget for the last 4 years. Again, that's to the tune that we have the record amount of money we have in savings now. So the question is, do we need to cut taxes, or do we need to, cut taxes or spend more money? You can say when you have that much money in savings, you're either overtaxing or you're underspending. So I like to do both. I like to cut taxes and then spend some more money for the programs that I articulated early.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Ms. Cross, what would you do to more efficiently and effectively balance the city budget?
Well, the city budget process has to be done in accordance to the city charter no later than the second Monday of June. The first thing is to get in and get busy. Understand where our risks are and identify the fiscal year 21-24 gaps and protect those annually. We need to assess this budget more than just once a year, but we need to have great certainty about our tax revenues and our expenditures and make sure that we have key economic data that is critical for citizens' confidence. We need to build a budget which improves our situational awareness at a glance, and that includes putting a dashboard on the website so that our citizens can see right up front where we stand. We have a lot of savings, which means we haven't invested in our citizens. We haven't built sidewalks. We haven't looked at the parks and recreations, and we haven't developed economic development amongst the citizens. And we need to prioritize these efforts. We need to deliver the most critical services required, and in doing that, work and partner to effect change with labor teams, job titles, responsibilities, and alignment.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Okay, this will be our last question. I want to thank you all too for your flexibility in changing the time limit. This is our very last question before we go into our closing statements. I'm going to start with Mr. Williams. Some residents don't feel safe in the city of Glenarden. What will you do to ensure the safety of Glenarden residents?
Okay, 1 minute. Okay. My plan would be to put cameras on the hotspot corners. I proposed that a long time ago. We have the resources to do that now. Also, putting speed bumps, because in certain areas, we did it in Ward 3. We need to have speed bumps in Ward 1 because people are racing up Dillwood Avenue, Polk Street, Tyler Street. So between the cameras, slowing down traffic, or have things on monitoring people's traffic, I think that will help people feel safe. Again, we are the third safest city in the state.
10 seconds.
Bar none. The third safest city in the state. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
Okay, let's see, Ms. Cross, I'm going to go to you next. Okay, Glenarden residents, some feel that they're not safe. What would you do to ensure the safety of the Glenarden residents?
We are the third safest city in the state of Maryland. I'm super proud of that. As a resident myself, I have seen my children not be able to play in the streets because of the speed. I believe that we do need to have safety cameras, and I also believe we need to institute speed bumps. We need to make sure that the chief of police is in areas and that we do assessments across the city to determine where the most ready need is. We need to be able to discern domestic disputes from actual crime, because sometimes we may need mental health to be called out so we can effectively utilize our police department. I also believe that because we have roots where there's grounds for violence, it is not brother against brother, and we should build mentorship programs and big brothers and big sisters so that we can give children that need something to do good mentorship and adequate influence. So we need to establish a partnership with our community.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Carter, many residents don't feel safe. What would you do to ensure the safety of Glenarden residents?
First, we need to develop a comprehensive public safety program focused on our youth and our young adults. We need to work with Park and Planning and Recreation Division and hire a part-time director of recreation so that the city has someone who is responsible for recreation in our city. We need to install cameras and have them monitored, and our police department needs to be more visible throughout the city. And where necessary, I believe we can improve our lighting in those areas where it's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Coro, what would you do to ensure that all City of Glenarden residents are safe and feel safe?
So first, I think it's important for us to speak with the residents and figure out why they don't feel safe or what may be causing this unease. And second, with that, then we'll be able to properly address and create solutions to solve those problems. I definitely agree that we need to install and add more speed bumps to our roads, especially on residential streets. Next, I believe we need more street lights. There are areas in Glenarden that are very dark at night, like you cannot see at all when you're outside. It's very important that we do have street lights so then people feel safe. Next would be still establishing those relationships with police officers. I think it's important for the officers to create genuine relationships with members of Glenarden. And lastly, I'd just like to implement smart city elements. So basically using technology and data to then be able to decrease response time and things of that nature. Thank you.
All right. I was asked to do one last question. We're going to squeeze in one last question before your closing remarks. And this question is, what will you do in your first 90 days of office if elected? Okay, I'm going to start with Ms. Cross.
Business process analysis, defining clear lanes in the road for administration, timely collaboration for the budget submission to get it in on time, planning efforts. Clearly, the question within the administration is how will we move out? Establish mentoring and mental health and educational reform programs, senior care programs, as well as community support programs. I will establish auxiliaries so that the voice of the vast demographics that are now living and calling Glenarden home will have a say at the table. I look at inclusive partnership across the council with the mayoral as well as the administrative staff to generate a commitment to leverage our local colleges and institutions of higher learning to support our student residents, instructors, teachers, and staffs. We have to promote orderly development and redevelopment in our land and our vicinity of major interchanges, and we will do that. Our major transient stops, we will be part of the moving forward mission for the county and city of Glenarden.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Okay, Ms. Carter, what will you do in your first 90 days in office if elected?
In my first 90 days, I hope to accomplish 5 things. The first, to restore the administrative powers of our mayor. Number 2 is to meet with our city manager, our financial officer, our police chief, our human resource director, public works coordinator, code enforcement officer, go room manager, to discuss those things that they want to see done and what their vision for the city is. Third, I would meet with the city council to discuss what they envision our city should be and where we should go. Fourth thing I would do would be fill all vacancies in our city boards, committees, and careers. And then I would review all of our outstanding city contracts. These things need to be done in the first 90 days in office.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Coro, what will you do in your first 90 days if elected?
Okay. In my first 90 days, if elected, first I would meet with all city officials and department heads, so then we can discuss an internal plan and strategy to implement throughout the years. Next, what I would like to do is have a state of town address, or state of city in this instance, address in which myself, city council, and all department heads are able to introduce ourselves to all the citizens. It's important that the citizens know who served them and know that they can contact us and that they can have genuine relationships with us. So then we are able to establish relationships and see what our concerns are so we can work together as a community. And one of the last things, because I don't want my time to go out, that I would do is establish a 5-year plan with myself, city officials, and all department heads. And within this 5 years, we would plan out each year strategically, so then we are continuously growing as a city. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams, last question for you. What would you do in your first 90 days if elected?
Thank you for the question. First, I would meet with the staff and let them know my expectations are for them. They represent me, so therefore I want them to know they represent me and act accordingly. Next, I will have a city summit with the city council. And then at that time, we would develop a short-term and long-term plans for the city. Short-term meaning with the next 2 years, long-term 2 to 5 to 10 years plans. Next, I then would meet with the state, local, and federal officials and tell them, based on our plans, what our needs of our cities would be. And then hope for them to get their assistance in going to the federal government and to the county government and to the state government to meet our needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, candidates, we have come to the end of the evening where we are going to do our closing statements. And so in 2 minutes or less, please tell the residents why they should vote for you. I'm going to start how we started in the beginning. I'm going to start with Elaine Carter. 2 minutes or less, tell the residents why they should vote for you.
Thank you, citizens, for sitting through and listening to us. As citizens, you have heard a lot of things. You've gotten a lot of information from a lot of different candidates. In closing, I ask that you consider who will be the best worker for you and all of the citizens of Glenarden. And I ask that you give me, Elaine Carter, your vote on May 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Okay, Ms. Cross, give us in 2 minutes or less why the residents should vote for you.
Residents, it's time for unity, good governance, and transparency. Your city leadership owes it to you to represent you. We are not lords, but we are representatives and servants of the people. It is critical that you understand that we will not look at anything that will impact you negatively. I am asking for you to consider me for mayor because it is time for establishing institutions, developing processes, preserving our history by setting up Smithsonian level recognition for a city of rich heritage. 1911 started something. We made a decision that the citizens will have a fight and a voice. We made a decision in 1911 that has led to the legacy that we love today. We will work to build a foundation in this community of care, safety, and addressing these needs of the residents as one, not as Ward 1, 2, or 3, but we are one people, Glenarden. We are Glenardeners together. It is one thing for me to note that I am not only going to represent you, but I represent my own heritage. When I speak from the years of experience of those that have gone before me, public figures in the eyes of citizen population that have done great things. Listen, it is time for us to represent you. No more playing. We are done with the playing. It is time for you to have your voice. We need to be figures of good representative character and preserving the governing laws of this city, this charter. And we need to manage that charter where there are areas of debunked and disjointed disunity. We have to stabilize. We have to unify with excellence. From within, we are building out. We are going to seek and we're calling mentors out. So vote for me because we are together going to move this mission forward. It is time for action.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cross. Great closing statement. Ms. Okoro, 2 minutes or less. Tell the citizens why they should vote for you.
Okay, thank you. First, I'd like to thank everyone for sitting through this forum. So I'll keep it short and simple for you all. Hi, my name is Chelsea Okoro. I am 22 years old, and though I am 22 years old, I am a shark in the water. Whenever I am faced with a challenge, I go above and beyond to accomplish that challenge and go above and beyond to accomplish whatever type of goal or mission I've set forth with that challenge. As we go to the polls on May 3rd, what I want you to think of is we've had previous mayors with a lot of experience, but what we need now is a mayor with heart and a mayor with love for the city. And that would be me. So I hope you come out on May 3rd to vote and vote Chelsea Okoro for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Okoro. Okay, Mr. Don Juan Williams, tell the voters why they should vote for you in 2 minutes or less.
Thank you, Monica. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Let that step start May 3rd, or even tomorrow. You can go vote tomorrow. Step to the poll. I'm asking for your support. I'm asking for your vote. So if you don't vote for me, you can't say I didn't ask for it. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for you to support me. Why? Because I have the experience, the knowledge, and the relationships to get things done. Anybody can talk a good game, but I get things done. I'm a leader, but I'm also a follower. I have led many organizations, the Black mayors, for 5 years. I was vice president of the World Conference of Mayors when I left office. Parliamentarian for the National Conference of Black Mayors when I left office. So I'm well respected in the community, among our leaders, among our state, local, federal officials. We need to get things done. We need support of those people. And I'm asking you to put me in a position to get things done. I know how to talk to this council. And I know that if I don't get my way, I'm not going to take my ball and go home. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to fight for you and bring you into the process. I want to be your leader, but I can only lead if I have people who want to be led. So therefore, my initiatives will be your initiatives. And when I say something and do something, I'm going to ask you to come back and help me if the council don't approve of it. Again, tomorrow, May 3rd, the next day, this weekend, vote Mr. Williams. Thank you.
Okay, and that concludes the end of our forum. I want to thank everyone. It's been a long evening, and I want to just thank you all for coming out. Thank you for running for office and wanting to improve your community. And I really appreciate that. I'm very impressed with everything that was said and what you guys want to do for your community. And so just as a reminder to the residents, the election is May the 3rd. You can go out and vote sooner. But the election day is May the 3rd. I want to encourage everyone to get out there and vote. And as John Lewis said, the vote is precious, is sacred, and it is the most powerful nonviolent tool that we have. So let's make sure that we get out and vote. I want to say good luck to the candidates. All the best. Thank you and good night.